People are broke. So they think, why would I buy into capitalism? Everyone tells me socialism's so bad all the time. Everyone tells me that communism's terrible, and Mamdani's terrible, and I've read about the history, I've read about the communists. Everyone says socialism's bad. Well, I'm living in capitalism, and I have no fucking health care, and I can't afford a house. So what do I have to lose at this point? You wonder why the socialists and the Democrats keep winning? You wonder why they keep winning even though their policies are bullshit? You wonder why they win even though they put the taxes up? Because young people are completely disenfranchised with this system because they are poor. On top of being poor, they're watching social media with people who are rich. Do you understand the envy this is creating? Oh, yeah. Do you understand that a young man can't even talk to a girl because he's not a millionaire? 19-year-old men are saying to me, girls don't talk to me because I have no money. So you're not supposed to have money, you're 19. You're supposed to just be charming and in good shape and have fun. Girls don't want that, girls want money. The world is completely broken in the West now. It's completely broken. So we've entered this really dangerous stage where if we don't blame Israel, if they find something else to blame, it doesn't matter. Things are gonna burn. If you have a whole bunch of young men who are never gonna get a family, never gonna have any money, never gonna own a house, they're completely disenfranchised with the system they live within. If you read a history book, that ends one way. Sooner or later. And we need to bring these people into the system. If we want to be capitalistic, and all of us are capitalists, we need to at least offer the young people a chance to play the game. We can't say capitalism's fantastic, communism's terrible, capitalism's the best, but you can't play. Here's my Bugatti. No one's going to accept that for long.
Who says you can't play? Yeah.
They can't play because the rules are too hard. Because we've entered a new form of financialized capitalism where the easiest way for you to make money is to take money and turn it into money. And, you know, I'm not an economist. I'm not an economist, and I'm not going to pretend I am. But if you take numbers on a screen and turn it into more numbers on a screen, there has to be someone's getting fucked there. It ain't me, because I've taken my money, done no work, and turned it into more. But someone else somewhere along the line is getting wrecked for me to get more money because I turned my money into money without work. That is, you can say it's usury, you can say whatever it is. What I'm saying is the young man who's going to work every day, paying his taxes, struggling to afford rent, living in a town which is getting more and more crime-ridden, living in a town with all these liberals who are turning to socialism and communism and supporting the Somalis and fighting ICE because nobody else has any money and everyone else is on welfare and everyone's frauding, everyone's stealing from the government, NGOs are stealing, no FBI raids on the Somali daycares. You're a young 20-year-old man, you're going to work every day, you're struggling to pay your bills, Somalis are getting billions from the government, none of them are in chains, you're told to continue to pay your taxes, shut up. And like, how long do we think people are going to get fucked before they say, no, this is bullshit? The social contract in the West, whether we like it or not, is broken. The social contract is broken. Young men who do the right thing are not being rewarded for doing the right thing. And we think they're going to continue to do it? They're turning to socialism because they're revolutionaries. They're turning to anti-Semitism because they're revolutionaries, because they feel completely lost, because we've given them nothing. Even the most basic thing. Fuck giving them houses and money. Forget that. They can't even get a girlfriend, bro. They can't even get a girl in Miami. The girls their age want men twice their age who are millionaires. These men are lonely, they are depressed, they see no way out, and this ends one way. Whether we like it or not. Whether we like it. So I'm actually saying, as a capitalist, we need to at least make the capitalism game playable again. If I was president, and I'm not, and I don't believe I'm qualified to be, Trump is a million times smarter than I am. Trump's been through a bunch more than I have. I'm glad he's the president. But even he understands, unless we can find a way to get people to engage with this system, it's going to break. It's going to break whether we like it or not. And that's the situation we're currently in the West. To fix our society, by and large, to fix it, everybody needs to feel included within it. They need to feel like if I do the right thing for the society does the right thing for me. And if you're actually honest with yourself, if you're a 22-year-old man, like you said, yes, you can function on personal excellence. Yes, you can say I'm going to be better than everyone else. Yes, you can say I'm going to escape the matrix. It's true. But of course, not everybody can do that. Of course, there's going to be exceptional people who manage to do it, and most don't. The majority of people, if you look at their lives and you look at the positions and the opportunities that are afforded to them, they don't want to play anymore. They're like, I don't want to do this.
I think that's a mistake. I think that's a mistake, and I'll tell you why. You know, if you lived in New York from 40s through 80s, you would have said, I don't trust the government. Why not? Look what the mob's been doing. The Italian mafia, they do this, they do that, they do this. You know, what happened to law and order? What happened to justice? What happened to this? I don't trust them. I'm going to be a criminal myself. I'm going to sell pot. I'm going to sell cocaine. So people in Italy felt the same way, because the argument that you're making, Tate, I fully agree on there needs to be accountability, or else who the hell trusts law and order? And sometimes I think America goes through that history of people that break the law, make money. You ever seen Russians that come here from communism? The way they view law, it's so weird the way they view law. I had a relationship back in the days, and I come home one day, and the father was a phenomenal guy. And one day, my car gets hit by this guy in Palace in Hollywood. And I'm chasing this guy because he had a bunch of beers, and I realized he stole the car. So he hits my car, he leaves. Cops are chasing this guy. I'm chasing this guy for 10 minutes. I'm in an expedition. He's in a Firebird. So eventually I lose him.
Wait, expedition
Ford
in California?
Yeah, Ford expedition in California. So this is 2000, okay? I come home, I'm like, you will not believe what happened. He says, what happened? I said, look at the back of the car. Yeah. This guy hits me and he leaves. He says, that's great. I said, what do you mean that's great? He says, I'll be back. So I go in the kitchen.
Career. If you get sanctioned, not only can you not leave Venezuela, you can't transfer money, you can't own assets anywhere else, your dollars are worthless, you don't want this smoke, right? So it's Maduro's job to keep these people so happy with him that they don't betray him for America. And it's the same everywhere. All of the leaders of every single country, their primary objective actually isn't the common man. Their primary objective is protecting their oligarchy because it's their oligarchy to have enough power to betray them and overthrow them. This is the same in every single country. So as Trump, it's very difficult. How do I protect the billionaires? Because the billionaires put me here, and the billionaires run the economy, and they own all the important things, and they own the news stations, and they own all the gas stations, and they own everything. I need them happy. But how do I do that without destroying their wealth and also allowing young people a chance to make wealth? It's constantly fluxing, it's extremely difficult and hard and complicated to do. And there is an intangible element to all of this. The intangible is that we have a brand new thing that we never had before. And I would argue that this brand new thing that we all benefit from, social media, is driving envy to a level where it is literally impossible for a young person to fathom anything other than getting money today. And it's getting worse. Not only are people poor, they have to watch the rich all day. It's amazing we don't have riots already. This is a brand new paradigm we're entering. And there's no easy solution to these things. I'm not advocating for communism. I live in Romania, which used to be communist. I hear all the horror stories. But even Romania now, they overthrew their election. The guy who won was thrown out. He was put in jail by the same prosecutor as me. Interesting story. They put in an EU shill. They're now bringing in 250,000 migrants a year, and they've doubled the taxes. All the people are now starting to say, this is worse than communism because I can't afford this game anymore. At least in communism, I could eat. I can't pay my bills anymore. What I'm saying is capitalism at the hyper extent is only going to drive the median towards socialism because the median can't play the capitalistic game. So we have to sit as intelligent adults and say, okay, how do we include the young people in capitalism? That's what we have to do.
Absolute true. It's so true. It's very true what you're saying with the affordability. I think the affordability is a real issue, but I think a part of it, Tate, my opinion, to really get it to go, it's like even right now what he said the other day, hey, we're going to buy $200 billion of paper to cause interest rates to go lower. That announcement alone brought the interest rates for 30-year to the lowest in 3 years. It dropped about Trump announced a $200 billion bond purchase and bid to lower mortgage rates. Do you know what my opinion is on what we need to do long term, which will never happen? Will never happen in America. Never happen in America. Not because of the election model that we have. The benefit of monarchy has over a democracy. A monarchy, you have to think about what's good for the country in 40-year terms.
Yes.
20-year terms.
Yes.
Democracy, you have to think about, you got, every 2 years you have an election. Midterm, presidential, midterm, it's like, man, what can I do to please that audience and these guys and those guys? Yeah. The truth of the matter is, you gotta let it take a hit for a few years. Yeah. Like, it's like if you want your body to naturally reproduce, and you've been on all this stuff, you're Mr. Olympia competitor, you gotta get off of stuff to let the body reproduce 100%. Testosterone again. And the chance of that happening with any president in our lifetime, it's not going to happen.
You're completely right. And we have to recognize patterns. And I wonder, and I'm worried, because you study the fall of empires, right? You study how all empires rise and all the empires fall in the end. And they all fall the same way. The Roman Empire fell the same way. Inflation, mass migration, disenfranchisement of the youth, young men not wanting to die for the country anymore, didn't want to join the army, no one having kids, birth rates, all the exact same problems we have. You study it and you go, wow, maybe empires do just rise and they do just fall. How do we fix these things? It's extremely difficult. I don't have the answer, and nobody in human history has ever found the answer. It's extremely hard to find. But my worry is this, and I'm trying to plan for the future, right? I, unfortunately, and I'm not saying this hyperbolically or trying to be a tough guy, I have a strong belief there is a chance at any random moment that I get blasted and I'm gone, right? So I have to plan for the future for my family, for my kids, for all the people I care about. The American dream is the #1 thing that unified this country. The American dream is come here, live amongst people who don't think like you, who don't look like you, who don't talk like you, who have a different religion to you. More importantly, and this is very important, they have a different version of history than you. Your heroes are their villains, and their villains are your heroes. You're completely different, but if you obey the law, you can get rich. And what we're starting to see is people wake up and go, wait, I can't get rich. And wait, nobody's obeying the law. So once you have that mass realization, Once people realize that the laws in America, the courts, the judicial system, ICE, the police, DOJ, FBI, all of them are at the very brink of their capability and they still can't seem to stop the crime. That the laws aren't working and the system is broken. That the American dream isn't real because most people don't get rich. What comes for this society? What's unifying us? Because let's talk about a country like Ukraine, which is corrupt head to toe, complete corruption. But I actually have to give credit to the Ukrainians because they've been through so much shit. No electricity, snowstorms, mass corruption scandals, a war, people getting dragged off the street. And you know what you still see in Kiev? People waiting in line. You would not see, we can't have a hurricane without a riot. We can't have a hurricane without mass looting. When there was an eclipse, I remember when there was last an eclipse 3 or 4 years ago, I saw something that scared me for America. An eclipse was coming. And all the countries were talking about where you can see the eclipse, and for 2 minutes it's going to be dark, etc. When the American government posted about the eclipse, it warned people about the possibility of crime. At 1 p.m. in the fucking afternoon, it's going to be dark for 2 minutes, you might die? Is that how fragile our society has become? And I'm saying this as a patriotic American. I'm not trying to slander America. I love America. What I'm saying is, if the American, I ask you, is a conservative woman in charge of her man? Or is a man the head of the household?
No.
Okay, so we're now advocating for a patriarchy. We're now doing the number one thing. Which
No,
is
wait a minute. Let me correct my answer. Ask me the question one more time because I want to give the right answer.
Sure. Is a conservative woman in charge of her man? Is she the head of the household?
I don't think so.
So
I don't think so.
Exactly. So we're naturally advocating from a position of protectiveness, not from a position of authority, not from a position of oppression.
Yeah.
We're actually advocating for a patriarchy saying, look, we'll take on the stress. We'll deal with the problems. We'll pay the bills. We'll protect the house. I'm not here to oppress you. I'm not here to treat you badly.
Right.
I'm actually here to lead, and a conservative woman lets a man lead. And that's the point I'm making, that these feminists have been told that a man should never lead them, and that is why they're led astray by the system. So to say things which are controversial and will get you in a lot of trouble, that's my job, so I'll do it. If men are by and large in charge of the households and in charge of society, it is much harder to psyop the population with emotional arguments, which is why they're trying to remove man from the head of the household, so they can use emotional arguments to convince you to commit suicide. Right. The Western world is currently committing suicide, and they can only convince you to do that emotionally because it's illogical to destroy your own society. It's illogical. So this is very purposeful. So when a woman sits across from me on any kind of podcast or a dating podcast or anything, says, I don't listen to no man. I'm like, you're not my enemy. You don't realize that you're a pawn on a board. You don't realize you're being used by my actual enemy, who's a man, who understands very well how to destroy the basics of society so that we are open for the mass enslavement. Because if anybody thinks that's where any of this ends, with AI, with the riots, with the burning of cities, with the mass crime, you know what they do? There's only one thing, and COVID's the lesson. There's only one thing that humans will accept a loss of freedom for: safety. I will take away your freedom and give you safety. I can prove that because I live in the safest country in the world and I don't have freedom, but I'm safe. So even I will say, you know what? Dubai is very controlled, but I can wear a $5 million watch in the middle of the night. And my woman and my kid, the young girl and a woman by herself, can go for a walk at 3 a.m. So we'll all accept a lack of freedom for safety. When this all burns down, they're going to come back and offer us safety, but they're going to control everything. And that is why they are pushing feminism. That is why talking against feminism gets you in so much trouble, because it is a weapon that is being used en masse to destroy Western society. And any woman who listens to this and thinks that that makes me anti-woman doesn't understand my message. Because what I'm saying is, look, we, as being, you all know this better than me. Patrick, how many times have you heard people say, I want to start my own business so I can choose my own hours?
All the time.
All these guys.
All the time.
All these guys. Being the boss sucks.
24/7.
People who aren't the boss, they go, oh, I want to be the boss because it's easy. That's why they'll never be the boss. When you're the boss, you're more stressed, you have more problems, you have more to deal with. When a man says, I want to run this household, women have been convinced to believe that means he wants to oppress her, when it's actually very much the opposite. He's saying, I want to take away all of the problems so you can focus on being the light in my life. There's a poem, and I don't know it exactly, but you'll have to Google it up. It's a beautiful poem. I think it was by a warlord. He's an Islamic warlord, maybe a couple hundred years ago. He said, stress is mine, pain is mine, war is mine, but you are mine. That is the point of life as a man. So when we come along and say, I want to run the household, and by extension the town, by extension society, it's not to oppress you, it's not to be mean to you, it's to actually protect you. And I've had these conversations with people when I talked earlier about the 1950s and the people getting married, and women come and go, yeah, but what if he beats her? Yeah, of course some men are pieces of shit. Of course there are some dickhead men. Of course 3% of men in 1958 were probably abusive and alcoholics and retards, because people suck. But by and large, most men were just trying to pay the bills and raise their kids, by and large. So we live in this really complicated society now. Everything is really messed up. And if you were to ask me, because I've already gone too far to go back now, what's the #1 problem we have to fix in the West? It's not the Jews. It's not even the capitalism. It's none of these stupid reasons people are coming up with. The number one problem we have to fix in the West is feminism. We need men and women on the same level playing field, understanding each other, not one above the other, doing different roles, complementary, working together, creating families, and everything will fix itself. You don't have time to tweet anti-Semitic all day when you have fucking kids. You don't have time. You don't have time. That is why we see these fires popping up everywhere. And we're trying to put them out. But you have millions of young men with nothing else to do. What do you expect besides fires?
It's so important. Like, if you want a society to get safer, have a community of people that have a lot to lose.
Bingo.
If you want a society to be reckless and dangerous, high crime, people taking advantage of each other, have a society of a bunch of people who have nothing to lose.
Bingo.
Nothing to lose. You go out with people, you're having dinner. If everybody in that community has a lot to lose, you're safe. People are going to make good decisions. You go to a place with a bunch of people that have nothing to lose, anything can happen. When you wake up in the morning, you're thinking about, you know, like yesterday I go to the game and I got Dylan with me. It's just Dylan and I. Tico's not a football guy, so I take him there. We're sitting watching the game, and we're going everything I'm doing. It's all about like you have to. If he wasn't with me and I'm by myself, I'm going to a very different game yesterday. But everything was, okay, what's he need? What do I need to do? Be responsible here. Think about this here, because you got something to lose.
Oh, yeah. You know what? The worst thing about discussing these things is when you realize how they all interlink and how they all compound. It's kind of like having health problems is worse when you're broke. Like being broke and then getting sick. They double, they compound. It's the world's worst synergy. You know what the saddest thing about Irina getting stabbed in the neck on that bus was? And I tweeted this. And of course, everyone hates me on Twitter because I tell too much truth. But this is the thing. I said, you know what's sad about this? We have a young, beautiful Ukrainian girl who, instead of coming here and getting a rich sugar daddy, instead of being a whore, instead of doing OnlyFans, she decided to work in a pizza parlor. She tried to be honest. She tried to do the right thing, and she caught a knife in the neck. So now we talk about society degrading because men can't find women. Well, now society's degraded, and now women won't be with a normal man because a normal man needs you to have a job, and he needs you to ride the bus. They want to be with me. You know what happened when Irina got stabbed? All of my women texted me, thank God you'd never let me ride a bus. And I was like, well, yeah, but now, so what happens? If you're going to be with a man, you expect him to have permanent armed security chauffeurs for you? Is this the new expectation of the average chick? Irina tried to do the right thing and died for it. Society, by and large, was a contract between men. The society we've built was a very simple contract between men. I think a lot of people don't understand why society was built. The contract was this. We're going to build a world based on laws, and we're going to build a world based on morals and shared values, so that if I leave my house, the other men will protect my wife from any man with ill intentions. If I go to war, you're not going to randomly rape my wife. And if someone attempts it, you're going to stop it. The whole point of society was actually built for us to protect our women. Society was built so that we didn't have to stand next to our woman all day with a loaded gun. And in many places in the world today, because they have no society, you have to do exactly that. You have to stand next to your chick all day, ready to die, or she is going to be taken advantage of or taken from you. The whole societal contract is I get to now leave you alone and do important things to build the world and come back and you're still okay. But that's now broken. That's now breaking because women don't trust us to build the society anymore. They're saying they want to change the society, and they're based on emotional arguments, and they're disintegrating society from the inside. And that's why it's emotional and not logical, because they consider the average and the mean. Why is there speed limits? There are speed limits because most people are stupid or slow or distracted or they have an old crap car. You don't get to say the speed limit's 50, but if you have a Ferrari with carbon ceramic brakes and you're a trained race driver, you can break the speed limit. Because then you can't enforce the speed limit. You have to make laws based on the average capability of people. So we need to build a social contract between men and women that allows the average woman and the average man to coexist and both benefit, be happy with the transaction. You know, a lot of people believe in love as this fairy tale, magical, sparkle, you know, it's like the movies, like the books. Love is actually, truthfully, very transactional. If a woman goes, you only love Andrew because he gives you a big house and pays all the bills and keeps you safe and cheers you up when you're sad and gives you a car and makes you happy with surprises, and he only loves you because other men don't talk to you and you're beautiful and you give him kids. That's not real love. No, that is real love. Yeah. That's actually love. Right? This idea that we're in love and there's no transaction, it's just like the movies, that's bullshit. It's actually all transactional.
Exactly.
So we've now gone so hyper-transactional that women are on fucking OnlyFans or walking around on Instagram saying, buy me a Birkin for a date. What I'm saying is we need to build, and I'm not saying I know everything, I'm identifying the problem. We need to build a social contract in which the average woman is happy with what's being provided to her by the average man, and vice versa. If we do that, everything's fixed. And the easiest way to do that, I would argue, is to stop convincing young women to hate men. At least At least don't convince young women to hate all men. That's a good starting point. If we can do at least that, then we might be able to convince people to come together. Because society is based on men and women. When they call me a misogynist, how am I a misogynist if I take care of every woman in my life and I'm trying to have as many children as possible? If I was a misogynist, I wouldn't talk to girls. So it's a lie. It's a lie. It's weaponized virtue they're using to try and destroy my message. And this is very important when you understand when people are accused of things. The primary objective of an accusation is to distract you from a guy's ideas. When people say Andrew Tate, they're not going to say Andrew Tate and his ideas. They now say Andrew Tate and his accusations. That is the goal. The goal is to take everyone's mind away from what I say and more about what I'm accused of. I can accuse you of being a ham sandwich. Who gives a fuck? You're not a ham sandwich. It doesn't matter. This is the world we live in. So I think, truthfully, to fix Western society, we have to heal the gap between men and women. And it can't just be for beautiful baddies in Miami and all us millionaires. We have a great time. It's fine for us. But if you want society to function, it has to be for the average man and the average woman. When we fix that, everything, even anti-Semitism, will decline. Everything.
All right, so Tate, based on what you're saying, my interpretation of what you're saying is Andrew's moving to Miami. Right? His boat is coming down to Miami. There's a big party going on tonight in Miami on his boat.
Yeah, sure.
You're all not invited. Okay, it's not going to fit. But no, this is the Tate, and I don't know why you stopped talking about this stuff. And it makes sense what you're saying, but to me, it's also a more clear, defined argument today than even 4 years ago.
Yep.
It's toned down in one side that you would have had 4 years ago, which was more sensational and it was more entertaining. But this is pure logic. You don't agree with it, go debate it.
You know what, guys? I like to believe I'm logical enough to give credit to my enemies. And I have to give credit to my enemies. They are so vindictive and conniving and smart. They will take this podcast, they will find 3 seconds. They will put the clip everywhere. They will take it out of context. They will print in the mainstream media. They will get lawyers to start saying I need to go to jail. They'll get Keir Starmer in the parliament tomorrow. MPs will start saying I'm the reason that women get raped by random migrants. They're going to hit me with new criminal cases, hate speech. I'm only a man. I'm just